Indeed, you're still watching The Marketplace. Well, today on Tech Business, we have a discussion about non-residential digital platforms and taxation. The GRA has hinted at spreading the tax net to cover the use of digital platforms that are not exclusive to Ghana, for example, Netflix, third-party payment platforms, among others. To help us best understand the directive is our regular host, Henry Kobler, lead of tech firm Eyes of Africa. Henry, grateful that I could join us. For the purposes of those hearing this for the first time, what's a non-residential digital platform?
Thank you very much, Charles. So when we say non-residential digital platforms, we're referring to platforms that are not resident here, businesses that are not originally registered as Ghanaian businesses. And so they would originally be residing in other countries, but could extend their platforms to the usage in Ghana. So when you pick a platform like Netflix is really not registered as a Ghanaian company, but we have a lot of Ghanaians really using the services of Netflix. There are quite a number of these platforms that could reach out to the locals in Ghana and could have their services really used. You can have platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram being used in terms of advertisement. And so all of these platforms are generating some level of income from Ghanaians. And so they sort of seem to be non-residential, but be extending their platforms towards Ghanaians.
Well, the GRA will from April 1st target some taxes from these platforms. You're a tech expert. How sustainable will this be?
Okay, so for me, I'm generally always in for taxes. I always encourage the government to find innovative ways to push in taxes. But my point, especially with this in terms of sustainability, looks at how these platforms are being used, especially in Ghana now. It's on the infancy stage where a lot of people are adapting. If you pick a platform like Netflix, not a lot of people are having Netflix accounts, but quite a lot of people are jumping on to understanding how to use Netflix and would be enjoying the content on it. And so you would have the revenue generation on it not being so much, but also at the infant stage. Quite a number of platforms like the Facebook advertisement, Jumia, quite a lot of people are starting to just jump onto these platforms. And so at the early stages where there is a taxation regime, really scares quite a number of the users to be able to make use of the platforms that are there. And so for me, it wouldn't really give 100% sustainability point. I would just rate it almost about 40%, where you might be able to just gather because there's some people sort of addicted to it already. But it's really at the infancy stage. And I think that really when we're looking at such platforms, we should look at more innovative pointers to be taxing and getting the usage up rather than just going directly. I saw the news on that, which mentioned that from 1st April, and there's no breathing spaces for some of these platforms. What happens to some of these platforms that have to sync to the portal to now pay these taxes? Are they going to sync their portals to have access to data, access to their customers' data and all of that? There's some level of work that needs to be done to be able to link to a lot of the platforms that are out there.
Great. Well, what innovative ways, Henry, can government make to rake in more revenue from, aside from non-residential digital platforms as we've been discussing?
Funny enough, I would say education. It's important that you educate a lot of the customers and especially the citizenry on taxes and even the usage of these platforms. Already the government is benefiting from communication taxes on internet usages, which actually connects to some of these services. And so there's some level of revenue that is already being generated by the government. And I think that there's been a lot of talk and memes where quite a lot of people are making fun of the government always just taxing. So education really comes at a point where you sort of tune the mindsets of people to the point where they get to really have a good access to some of these platforms, the education on why they need to be taxed and how the taxes really affect their daily lives. So education really comes in for me as a first point. Secondly, proper policies are supposed to be put in place to relatively make sure that these platforms also feel very comfortable to be able to give out their services at their best and be able to declare the right taxes that they sort of have in connection with their services. If you don't put in the proper policies, a lot of people will sort of evade the taxes and will try and find means around it, and which will not be to the proper sustainability of the project. And so these two things, education policy, relatively comes first for me, getting the citizenry to understand these tax regimes and why they basically need to be in place, grow in the ecosystem, grow in the the ecosystem for people to be able to engage themselves in this digital media would be one of the best ways where you can have a lot more usage to this platform, which can then translate into a proper tax collection point for the GRA.
Henry, as always, grateful to have your thoughts on matters regarding tech, and he's a regular host on Tech Business each and every Wednesdays and Fridays to give you updates on basic things you need to know about trends in the world of tech. That's how we end today's edition of the Marketplace as well. But for more news, do log on to myjoyonline.com. I'm Charles Aite. Many thanks for watching.